Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Hurst with Premier Digital, and as Eric said, here to talk about maximizing content for your digital channels. So my goal here today is to share strategies, recommendations, and insights that we provide to our clients and help to develop your playbook and roadmap for how you can maximize and monetize your content in this digital landscape. Here are some of the topics I'll be going through today. And also joining us in this presentation today is my friend Jonathan here. We're going to be doing a case study as we go along. Jonathan is in the business development team for a mid-sized content provider with documentary content who's looking to release his new release film and series. So step one in developing out your digital strategy is of course windowing. And I could spend the whole session going through all the intricacies of windowing from PVOD, in the feature film space, to AVOD, and on the TV episodic side. But what I want to focus on is really talking about the importance of maximizing your first run window. Of course, looking to monetize as efficiently as possible, but also thinking about the importance of retaining rights, being able to keep control and give you more flexibility down the road as you look at international, as you're looking at trying to carve out different potential outlets for you to continue to monetize. And of course, the importance of sequencing all these windows properly so you don't cannibalize any of your content options that you're going forward with. So for Jonathan here, for his new release film, he's going to be following a traditional transactional to SVOD to AVOD window, focused on Apple, Google, Amazon, and some of the big transactional players. And of course, having carve outs at the end to have an AVOD window as well. For the new release series, it's a true crime, so that's super hot. Hopefully going to pursue getting a SVOD license deal for the new release series. So moving on from windowing and looking into the international landscape. I hope you caught the panel earlier with my colleague Jeff Goldman and the others about international, but just to touch on a bit more of what they mentioned, this really is, the international market is a huge area of opportunity for all content providers and platforms. Netflix, all the SVODs, it's all about international, and you should always have international be a key component of your strategy as well. Step one is learning the global landscape. There's a ton of players out there. There's a ton of platforms in all different territories, some of which are listed here on the screen. So really understanding who's out there, what territories are they in, and then what are the localization needs and what are the content preferences within each of those ecosystems and platforms is really key, so that you can make sure that you're focusing on the right platforms in the right areas based on the content that you have. And again, just to reiterate from before, this is why there's the importance of retaining rights, of being able to add in carve outs so that you can sell territories individually if you don't get a massive global deal with some of the SVOD platforms. For Jonathan here, focusing on his new release film, definitely has global appeal. It's a documentary about the World Cup. France won, so he localized it in French. He's going to be targeting English-speaking territories in addition to the French-speaking territories for the international expansion and growth of his content here. Moving on to channels, and we just had a great speech about all the different apps and channels available in this landscape. Touching on SVOD, of course, there's Netflix and all of the popular platforms, but there's also more and more movement and opportunity in the idea of having your own Netflix in a box, your own branded SVOD app or channel that can be available through marketplaces like Apple TV, Amazon channels, all the smart TV offerings as well. It's a really key growth area, and it's a great way to get discovered, right? That's where consumers are going to watch streaming content predominantly. So having a presence there is certainly really important and will be helpful for you as you develop your strategy. Going now into AVOD, of course, AVOD is a huge growth sector, continues to perform so well. It's only going to continue for all content partners around the world. And within the AVOD ecosystem, there are, of course, the on-demand offerings where you can watch, movies or TV series. You think of Tubi as one. And then there's also the linear feeds and channel type offerings within AVOD too, like the Pluto screenshot here on the slide. Within the channel and linear feeds, there are branded channels for networks or really notable brands where you can have constant programming, which is of course a great way to go and continue to monetize and drive advertisements. There's also aggregated channels as well based on topics or genres that are always available. You can see the comedy, sports, explore. So really being educated and understanding the different options that are really going to help to benefit developing out and maximizing your content in the digital world. For Jonathan, as a mid-sized content provider, he doesn't have enough content or brand recognition for his own branded channel at this time, but it's certainly a long-term goal for him and one that he's going to continue to focus on, try to talk to these platforms and understand what it takes to get his own channel set up. Until then, he's going to pursue AVOD opportunities, looking at more of the aggregated genre-based offerings for his documentary and factual content that he has in his portfolio. So now getting into your specific strategies based on the portfolio and content that you have at your company. It may go without saying, but it's so critical and important to really have a good understanding of your content, what type of content you have, whether it's episodic film, new release or catalog, the genres that you have available, and understanding that each of those has a different nuance and a different approach that you should take as you're going forward with this, because all platforms have different wants and needs, right? Some platforms are more interested in new release versus catalog. Some are not looking for episodic content, right? So you want to make sure and do your homework as you're developing your strategy and identifying which platforms you want to pursue. Make sure that you're not wasting time, not wasting energy, and focusing on what's going to get you the most bang for your buck. And as a follow-on to that, it's really, there are a lot of genre and interest-based platforms that exist. When you think of horror content, documentary, anime, kids content, there's really focused fan bases and audiences that have a deep love for that kind of content. So if you have that content, you certainly want to be aware of those ecosystems and reach out to them and understand how you can become a part of their offering to their fan bases. So for Jonathan, for his new release film, like I mentioned, he's going to follow his first run windowing strategy, then get in for TVOD, going to then follow into SVOD and AVOD, but with a specific focus and interest on the Curiosity Stream, the Canopies of the world, because of their focus on documentary content. That's a good match for his content offering. So now looking into the future, wanted to touch on some of these more innovative and new upstart ecosystems that we should all be aware of. First, I mentioned the live stream and social communities such as Twitch, predominantly gaming focused, but huge, massive audiences. Their big events get millions of viewers, and they've really started looking into licensing content, providing binge marathons like the Pokemon series marathon they did, which again gets a ton of social traction, a lot of growth, and it is with this next generation of viewers that we're all targeting. Following on that, there's the video game ecosystem that is, of course, massively from a global perspective. And recently, Fortnite did a deal with Quibi, where people playing Fortnite would be able to watch Quibi content in the game, which you can see here on the screen, which I thought was really innovative and could be a sign of new opportunities down the road. Looking in now, there's online marketplaces that have been around for a while, but especially with COVID have seen a lot of growth and are a great way to connect with new buyers to further distribution. And of course, beyond mass consumers, there are industry-specific verticals to look at, such as education and healthcare, that are also looking for content partners. For Jonathan, he's going to look at rights trade and then some of these education and healthcare verticals for his content. So to kind of wrap up here, now that you've got a strategy outlined, how do you make this happen, right, and execute on it? You're going to want to find partners. So you have a direct deal with platforms. Of course, you want to have that direct relationship. That's a great way to go. And if you can't make a direct deal, there's aggregators, sales agents, and distributors that can help you to get onto more platforms, streamline your ability to get distributed, and of course have media servicing as a follow-on to really cost efficiently deliver your content. So for Jonathan, he's going to pursue the direct deals with SVOD and AVOD, and then sign with an aggregator to make sure that he's on all the platforms as possible. That's really it. To conclude here, the importance of having a strategy and a playbook, thinking about international, looking at current growth trends in the industry, and also things that are coming down the road. And of course, then having a strategic partner to help you to execute on all of your plans. Jonathan's ready, and so am I. So that wraps it up here. Thank you for the time. Thank you, OTT.X, for having me. Here's my contact information. Hope to hear from you, and hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thanks a lot, Jake. With that, I want to